What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am not Adam from Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. I am Riley from Riley's Reptiles. And we just got back from the Reptile Super Show. And if you're curious why I brought that up, go check out Adam's recap on this entire show when he puts it out. You'll get it when you see it. We had a great time out there, so let's recap and let's talk about the January 2025 Reptile Super Show. All right. First and foremost, before we dive into that, big shout out to all of the first responders, firefighters, EMS, police, everybody from in-state in California, out of state, Mexico, Canada, all the first responders being sent for the LA fires down there. You guys are amazing. I did want to kind of clear the air on this. The Pomona Super Show is a little ways from where all these fires were going on, so we weren't affected by it at all. It was at least an hour's drive east and inland, so but that doesn't mean we weren't all thinking about everybody out there. Every vendor I talked to was thinking about the fires, how people were affected, what it meant for the weekend, and yeah, I think it was definitely top on everybody's priority in terms of what we're thinking and how the show was going to go. And you know, needless to say, the show is not a priority when that's going on. So everybody there was really, I think everybody was really in a good, loving, and gracious mood. So, you know, big shout out to everybody who came out to the show, all the vendors that made it, and those that, you know, had to evacuate and do things to keep them and their families and loved ones safe. Everybody was thinking of you. So needed to start off with that. Thoughts and prayers with everybody there. That pretty heavy. These fires are kind of unprecedented in U.S. history at this point. So that being said, I wanted to give a big shout out to the Reptile Super Show crew and Rami for putting on yet again another amazing show. There were a lot of folks that have been out to Tinley and Daytona and a lot of the East Coast shows, and were telling me that this show was hands down the most diverse in animals on display, biggest attendance, biggest venue, huge. So I think the West Coast is putting itself on the map thanks to Rami and the Reptile Super Show crew. They are the best. They took great care of myself and Glenn. Glenn Reptiles and I have been vending together sort of next to each other at the Reptile Super Shows this past year, and it's been wonderful. It's been a lot of fun, and Rami and his crew have been taking great care of us and all the other vendors. So if you've ever been on the fence, I highly recommend you keep your ears to the ground when they decide to open up signups for any of their shows. They go very quickly. If you sleep on them, spots sell out very fast. It's becoming one of the biggest shows in the country, if not the biggest show nowadays. And it's a lot of fun with a lot of diversity, a lot of great people. And that's exactly what I'm here to talk about, is the fun we had. I didn't bring my camera, I didn't film, I didn't do anything at the show because I was more focused on vending and selling. I knew I would have a great time connecting with people, but yeah, I figured, you know, I'm home today and gonna rest a little bit before I kind of clean and feed everybody tomorrow and kind of get back into the swing of things. But I thought I would kind of fill everybody in on how it went because it was such a great time. So I appreciate you all watching this video, sticking it out for me. It's obviously a little bit different of a video in terms of, like, you know, I'm not walking around the show filming and telling you about it. This is now afterwards, so it's more of a recap, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Before I keep going, the next upcoming Reptile Super Show is in June. They haven't announced signups or anything for that yet, I'm pretty sure, but it'll be coming up. They always do it in June, but I did hear that the Anaheim show has been moved from July to September, so that gives people more of a gap in between those shows, which is great. Unfortunately, if that is the case, that means I won't be making the Anaheim show because the SAC show is also in September, so there's only so much time I can take off from work. But that being said, I do have full 100% confidence that I'll be there at the June show for Pomona. It'll be the family, the LA Pet Fair, where they have the aquarium building, the bird building, and the whole Plant Expo as well. So look forward to that coming up in June as well. So if you've ever been on the fence about shows in general, the best part about shows is the fact that they're essentially a family reunion at this point. Family you only get to see once or twice a year, and it usually just revolves around these reptile shows because most of us are displaced all over the coast or the country even, and it's always a great time. I'm going to overlay some photos here from the show, but I had a great time really getting to know Adam Wickens from Wickens with the Reptiles, hanging out with Bionic Benny a bit. And of course, you know, Glenn and I and his buddy and my friend Travis now had a great time behind the booth, just talking to people about all the wonderful snakes that we had there. So it was a great time. I don't think I can overstate enough just how much fun it is to go to these shows. It really is important to be a presence there, meet people. And I've had folks now that were at this show, that were at the last show, I recognize, they recognize, and it's nice to, you know, connect with them again. They really appreciate it, and it just makes the whole experience a lot more fun. So, you know, if you've ever been on the fence, I highly recommend doing it. It's a great time. The US Art booth is always there. There's a lot of great swag, merch, and ways for you to financially support them in easy ways if you aren't already a member. And they also have the auctions at the Super Shows on the evening of Saturday night, which is always a great time. Again, I didn't film any of that. There's a lot of fun. There's animals, dry goods, plants, all sorts of amazing stuff up on silent auctions and live auctions there. So if you've ever been on the fence, that's even more reason to go to these shows. They're wonderful. It's a great time, and everybody has a ton of fun. So there are still plenty of available babies in this hatchling rack here, but it's definitely been decreasing, and there were even a couple holdbacks that made their way out and one or two left. Yeah, a few things empty, but basically I had a great time moving some carpets. I sold about 9 animals, donated some to the auction, moved some of the baby crested geckos. Some people pre-acquired and pre-purchased some and then picked them up there and got a good discount on that. And then some other folks got to check them out in person. It was really nice to see. So things are kind of moving and shaking here. We're getting ready for this coming season. I might even still have to add more hatchling rack to this space, depending on what goes on this year. But it was really nice to see the outpouring of support for people who actually were interested in carpets. Stopped to take a look amidst all of Glenn's beautiful corns, kings, milks, and all that good stuff. I think colubrid people won the day down there this weekend. Colubrids and geckos seem to be doing really well, and especially if you had little, you know, kind of generic kits and things to kind of get folks started. Saw a lot of that leaving and a lot of smiles on people's faces. So it was really nice. Some folks got to see some of these jungles. I did have, you know, some of these ocelot babies out there, especially this boy right here. He was out. He's got some of those ocelot markings, and he was available and had some great interest in them. I think people are still unaware of what carpet pythons are, maybe in a lot of instances, and some folks are a little bit intimidated by them. I did have an adult male tiger IJ line carpet out that people could pet and kind of see what was going on with him. I'll include a clip of that if I have anything, but it was really nice. A lot of people got to interact with some animals and kind of pet them. Kids obviously got to do that as much as I could really squeeze it in with everything, but it was a lot of fun. And I think, you know, there might have been 1 or 2 other vendors with maybe 5 or 6 other carpets on their total, on their tables, as opposed to me with 2 full displays. So it was really nice. People were acknowledging that, respecting it. And I also had the distinct pleasure of being literally across the aisle from Garrett Hartle and Warren of Bushveld Reptiles, displaying their wonderful African house snakes. So we did a lot of sharing of customers and interest in people in that little section. And it was quite busy most of the time, so it was wonderful. Again, big shout out to Rami and setting us up, keeping Glenn and I next to each other, and just by happenstance being put across the aisle from Garrett. So that was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed that. So as I said, I moved on quite a few carpet pythons and some baby crested geckos. The only animal I came home with was an animal that I purchased ahead of time from Reptile Factory, they had an Eric Gutierrez produced male El Rosario boa, which rosy boa, which I needed for my 2 females to kind of wrap up that locality project in the future. For those of you who've been paying attention, I have kind of dove headlong into a few rosy boa localities recently, and I don't see any end in sight. So I finally got a male for that project, which is fantastic. I'll include some shots of him here. He's a little guy. He's gonna spend some time in quarantine a little bit, but he's wonderful. He's amazing. I'm really excited to watch him grow up and add him to the mix. That was my only addition at the entire show. That was it. I was good. I was responsible. There were some lovely animals. There was an anaconda there. There were some lace monitors, some pied berms that I was looking at. Obviously, Garrett and Warren's amazing house snakes were there. I was checking those out. And I just kind of restrained myself, stayed at the booth, didn't film, didn't inquire, because I know how slippery of a slope that is just for myself. So, but that being said, everybody had what seemed to be a great time from my perspective, and I just hope that that's the case. I hope everybody had great sales to reflect that. The audience there, the people through the door, I have not seen numbers of people in a reptile show like that in probably a decade. It was amazing. It was not what I expected, so that was really cool. And I wanted to give a big shout out to US Archive. If I'm not mistaken, I think they raised $27,000 in the auction on Saturday night, and big shout out to Tony Dorer of Revision Reptiles. He's a friend of mine down there who's taken on quite a big volunteer role helping out USARC, and he's a big kind of cheerleader for them, and he helps out a lot, and it's very commendable and really respectable. So shout out to you, Tony, and he's helping kind of get more people in there, recruit, do a lot of good stuff, and help them out, and it's really nice to see the community working really together so well. So I wanted to shout that out big time because you guys are awesome. Before I commit myself to not touching any more reptiles the rest of the night and showing you my latest acquisition in that rosy boa who is going into quarantine, I did want to give you guys an introductory sort of like welcome to the snake room intro to show you some of the animals that have cleared quarantine recently. And first up is this beautiful granite poplin produced by none other than my good friend Brandon Wheeler down in Southern California of Morelia House, by way of a couple animals that are het granite produced by Nick Mutton. And this boy came to me from Gerard Bosch. They were not fitting in his plans, and fortunately they fit quite perfectly into mine, and he literally just shed while I was away, so it's nice to see him looking absolutely stunning. He's a big, handsome, healthy guy. I think he will be in my breeding rotation next season, so I'm really excited to see what he can do. He's still young, he is still growing. Eventually we'll get him in a nice display, I think, at some point, but for the time being, he's in the room, and I couldn't be happier to see him in some fresh clothes. Stunning, beautiful, nice definition to his pattern, quite different from the female granite poplin that I have. Nice to have a male. So one of the 2 newbies that I wanted to show you, and again, these are not from Pomona. These I picked up a couple months ago. They did a little bit of time in quarantine just to make sure, and they're now in the general pop and doing very well. So I wanted to take a minute to show them off before I show you that rosy boa I mentioned we've got it in quarantine. So enjoy this Morelia House production male granite poplin carpet. Next up, I am very, very excited about this animal. So let's check her out. Okay. Sassy McSasserson over here is a very, very special, wonderful, stunning example of an axanthic poplin carpet female. And this lovely lady is produced by none other than Andrew Paris of Paris Reptiles. And it's a funny story about how she came to me, because I distinctly remember when Andrew hatched this girl out of one of about 7 or 8 babies, if I'm not mistaken, the only visual Xanac and the only female. And I remember her post-shed pics going up online. He shared her. She was gorgeous, clean, stunning, amazing. And it was just bad timing for me. Couldn't make it happen. Couldn't afford it. Just couldn't pull any strings to do it. And so she went to a different buyer. Lo and behold, that buyer was Gerard Bosch. Good buddy, good friend. And again, he's got some double hets and a few other things, and he's keeping his collection slim. So here she is. She is mine. And I couldn't be happier because I distinctly remember when she hatched. I remember how creamy, smooth, and amazing she looked in color. She still has it. She's even got a little bit of sass that I like. And I'm just over the moon. That's like more poplin carpets. That's not a bad thing. And to have one as beautiful as her. Oh. So yeah. Figured I would give you guys an update and introduce you to the newest members of the general population here. We'll come up with some names for them at some point, but yeah, pretty happy. That would actually be an understatement. So anyway, let's take a look at this this newbie, the new addition to round out my El Rosario Rosy Boa group. And that'll be that. Alrighty, so this is him. This is a male Rosy Boa of the El Rosario locality, produced by Eric Gutierrez. They're picked up by way of Reptile Factory, Riverside. Big shout out to them. Wonderful communication, great sellers, really flexible, getting photos, awesome people, happy to divulge where this animal came from. And I now have 1.2 of these El Rosario locality Rosy Boas. Beautiful, beautiful reds. Those silver colors turn almost blue. And really great red eyes. Just wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful locality. There's so many beautiful locality Rosy Boas, but these just might be my favorites. He's just a wee lad. We'll let him settle in, warm up, and give him a meal soon. And yeah, hopefully over time, we'll give you all sorts of updates on these guys. I haven't filmed them enough, so definitely stay tuned for some Rosy Boa updates in the future. Let me know if that's something you would like in the comments below. So, not going to go back into the snake room after that. Definitely staying isolated more or less, but I did want to show you my one acquisition from the Reptile Super Show. Again, big shout out to Rami. You always make it great. It's a great time. You take great care of us. Glenn and I had a wonderful time. If you've ever been on the fence about coming out for the Reptile Super Show, I hope you change that and come out. It's a wonderful time. We've got people coming from all over the country, out of the country, you name it. It's great. Lots of wonderful diversity of species to see out there. Amazing vendors really pushing the limits, and it's just getting better every year. So definitely, if you've been thinking about it, come out, give it a shot. You won't be disappointed. Go check out my sponsors, Reptiles Express and Heli Guy Serpents. They are wonderful for supporting me. If you ever ship anything, Reptiles Express has everything you need covered and then some. If you like 3D printed goodies for your snakes, perching, deli cup holders, all sorts of cool hides and things like that, Heli Guy Serpents has you covered, is constantly innovating. Both companies run discounts, RR10 at Heli Guy Serpents and Riley 15, actually Riley 50 at Reptiles Express. It'll get you 50% off up to 10 labels per customer on your shipping labels. Get you about 50% of the discount on like standard shipping rates for FedEx. So hard to beat that. Go use that, save you some money, and do some shipping safely. Get all your supplies you need there. become a member of USARK and USARK Florida if you are not. And if you want to see what's going on here, get early access to babies, join the Discord, and overall become part of the community that we got going and growing here. Look me up on Patreon, just Riley Jimison on Patreon. Thank you for joining me this week on the channel. Thank you for sticking it out. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to go check out Adam over at Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles when he drops his video about the Pomona Super Show. We did a fun little collab there. So I hope you enjoy it. Look forward to seeing that, Adam. Pleasure to see you and hang out in person. Thank you again to everybody who came out to the booth and said hi, shook hands, took photos. You guys are awesome. Love you all. Thank you to everybody who picked up animals, and I hope to see you at the next show. If there was anything that we couldn't get a hold of or couldn't do anything, please don't feel shy. Message me on any social media, anything like that. Let's get you some carpet pythons. Alrighty. Later.